Tottenham have lost the opportunity to win Group G of the Europa Conference League after an embarrassing defeat away to NS Mura. The team ranked 341st in the UEFA European coefficient standings, the lowest ranked team in the competition, and the club that had picked up their first win against Tottenham. I honestly don't even know where to start, because that has been absolutely pathetic. Show me the lights with a decent enough place to start, I suppose, with Dele Alli. He's a Finnish player, been saying it for 3 seasons, yet still Spurs fans back him. Look, I've been his biggest defender up until probably the end of last season, but Dele Alli tonight was absolutely pathetic. I couldn't believe some of the things I was seeing from him. I posted a video on Twitter just at the end of the first half of a touch he tried to take. Doherty played the ball up to him. Easy could just step to the side, let it hit him with a control at his feet. He just lifted a lazy foot at the ball and it ran past him. Started the second half. We're pressing high, trying to catch more out at the beginning. He's a chance to tackle the opposition centre-back on the edge of the box to win the ball back, and dangles a lazy foot at it. Easily, ball taken past him. I think Mura got a free kick off that as well. And he was taken off and didn't really seem to care. The one time he actually looked like he had a bit of desire, a bit of passion, was when he was trying to start a fight with the Mura defenders after what was a foul from him that he was for some reason complaining about. Look, Ali is just pathetic, and the sooner he gets out of this team, the faster it happens. And here we go. Yeah, no, I knew this would start. Let's ignore that as best we can. Matteo making a good point as well. Sanchez is useless. Sanchez is a fault for both goals there. That first one, people are saying, "Oh, you can forgive him. He slipped as Horvath kind of cut in off the right hand side." We were watching the replays at halftime in the Irish Hotspur Watchalong, and Horvath has the ball. He takes the touch inside. Sanchez takes 4 more steps before he actually starts to turn. And yes, he does then slip in what looked like a poor surface. There were a lot of Spurs players losing their footing on the night, but appalling defending from Davinson Sanchez. I mean, look, it's worrying at the start that we have to play a player like him on the left side of defence. He's right-footed. It's not going to work out well for him there, but he still should not be beaten by, again, a player that just shouldn't be good enough to beat him like that. All credit to Mura. They got the win tonight and they damn deserved it, but we shouldn't be in a situation where we are losing to a team like that. Sanchez beaten way too easily. And then on that second goal, again, not learning his lesson from the mistake he made with the first goal. Shows him inside again. I don't even know the name of the player who scored the second goal. And then he deflects a shot, the ball over Gleany. Ben Davies has to do better in that second goal as well. But Davinson Sanchez, pathetic. Honestly, it's the basics of defending. Show your man outside. He lets him in on his left foot both times. A brilliant finish the first time and an unlucky deflection the second time. But you'd think after Kane got that goal, after he got us back level, that there'd be a bit of passion and a bit of fight, a bit of hope that as we're back level, they can push on and try and get something back from the game. But it was just more of the same. And by the end of it, we were playing almost a full-strength team. I know we're a man down, but we had Kane, Son, Lucas as our front three. We had Højbjerg and Skip in the middle of the park. We had Dyer, Sanchez and Davis at the back as well. All of them played on Sunday against Leeds. All of them except Sanchez started that game, if I'm not mistaken. That's nearly a full-strength squad, and we looked absolutely pathetic. We looked completely void of any ideas. There was no creativity in the front foot. The 4 players that came off early on in the game all at once, there was Joe Rodon, who I thought perhaps was a bit unlucky to be taken off. Dele Alli, absolutely useless. Brian Gill is just struggling to take the chances that are being given to him. And when you look at the fact that he's not really getting very many, perhaps it's not the worst thing in the world that, or the most concerning thing, that he's not able to get a bit of consistency and a bit of quality in his attack. Kev Williams, thank you for the super chat, says Dele is terrible. He is robbing a living at Spurs. And look, my eyes have been opened to that fact because, like I said, I defended him for so long. He's just showing time and time again that he's somehow getting worse. Any bit of passion or any bit of effort that was left in his game seemed to be completely gone tonight. And he is, you can't argue that he is robbing a living at Spurs. Thomas Davis asking, when is Romero back? And this is even worse news in the last couple of days in the defeat tonight. Conte said it's a serious injury. He has to get a second scan to see the severity of it. But he, at this point, will more than likely be out until the new year at the earliest. And when you're looking at the fact that he's our only competent, capable defender, we need to play 3. Well, then, look, we're in big trouble. I need to get at least 2 centre-backs in January. If this for Romero was a 2, 3, 4 month situation, do we pack in the season now? Do we just give it up? Because if you're looking at tonight, Davinson Sanchez, again, look completely out of place. He does not know how to defend. Tanganga, Rodon aren't given enough chances to trust them in the Premier League and to trust them to go forward in these games against Burnley on Sunday that tactically in the kind of shape of the game isn't going to be much different to what we saw tonight. And if we're looking at the inability of these Tottenham players to break down players, I know I'm going on a bit of a tangent here, but if we're looking at the inability of this Tottenham team to create chances, to beat a low block, the same problems that we've had for the last 2-3 years, but where on earth do we go from here? It really is shocking to see. And I'm going to repeat, 341st ranked team in Europe, NS Mura. They were founded in 2012. They're 9 years old. 9 years old, and they've beaten Tottenham. Look, I know this is more of a rant than any sort of a structured video, but it is truly shocking. Brian Dagan in the house. Good to see you, Brian. Yeah, there's Mark. There he is. I'm surprised it took you this long, Mark. 5.5 minutes. I've got an Arsenal fan in there, lads. So if you want to remind them what European competition feels like, it's not great, Mark, but look, we're in one. Adam Phillips says this result is an absolute blessing. Conte needs to see this crap. And look, this result is worse than what we've seen in Europe in the last couple of years from Tottenham. The performance has been exactly the same. Now, the difference is it was a strong squad tonight. These European performances don't usually have Kane from the start, don't usually have Son off the bench so early. They don't have Ndombele, Skip, Højbjerg, Davis, all these first-team players. We usually have, a Dane Scarlett starting, or a few young players on the bench might come on and try and influence the game themselves. This was the full first team. Every single player who played on Sunday, bar Reguilon and Emerson, played that game tonight, and there was no improvement from it. And the fact that the result is worse than what we're used to is absolute. And I think Conte won't be too surprised to see a performance like that, because he will know what Tottenham have been like in recent years. He will know what Tottenham were like on Sunday in that first half. Mark is a friend, so maybe he's not an internet troll, but he is an Arsenal fan. So I'll let you say what you want to say. No offense, Mark. But yeah, look, I don't think Conte will be too surprised to see that. He'll still be concerned, and he'll know. I do think he'll know there's a lot more work. There's a lot more work on his hands than he may have realised earlier on. But I made the point in the watch-along as well that first half is the same first half we saw against Leeds. It's the same first half we see in every game Tottenham play at the moment. Every game Tottenham have played in the in European competition since Amsterdam. But I made the point at halftime that we can't rely on a motivational, inspirational talk from Conte at halftime to manage to grab us through any of these games, because eventually they're going to lose their effect. If it's every single game Conte saying the same things and it manages to get you G'd up for the first game, it manages to get you out there to fight for the second half in the second game, eventually that's going to lose its effect, and you can't rely on that the whole way through. But what will happen when we start playing better opposition in the Premier League, because there's 2 league games have been against Everton and Leeds, when we start to play a City or a Liverpool or United, a Chelsea, even from what happened earlier in the year, and Arsenal, we're going to be punished. Arsenal were 3-0 up against us after 31 minutes. There's no Conte halftime team talk that can turn that around. There's nothing that can turn that around. So if we're going to keep going with these lackluster, ridiculously bad first halves, nothing is going to be able to save us from that. And these players don't really seem to understand that they aren't good enough to win games just by showing up. I fully believe they turned up this game tonight expecting it to be a formality, despite the fact that 4 or 5 weeks ago we struggled to beat them at home and needed a Harry Kane hat-trick off the bench in order to get those 3 points. These players still show up to these games thinking it's a formality, not thinking they have to try. And Horvath had an effort 5-6 minutes into the game it was over the bar, but it was close enough, and that should have told them, okay, we're in a bit of a game here. These guys aren't going to sit back and try and get a 0-0 draw. They're going to attack. And 5 minutes later, they make the same mistake, allow Horvath down the right hand side, and he puts the ball into the back of the net. There we go. There's Barry. There's Martin. There's Paul. Yeah, no, good to see you all, lads. Thanks for tuning in. Hit the like button while you're here. As Mark points out, Ryan Sessegnon. Look, you can have this argument about how harsh that red card was to Sessegnon. The first foul was just stupid. That's a foul that you make if you're the foul that should have been made when Mura were attacking for the winner in the 94th minute. It was pointless. It did not need to be made. And then on the yellow card, he goes diving into the second challenge like that. He makes the first mistake with a poor touch. But don't make that second mistake and go flying into the challenge. But Sessegnon has decided that was the right thing to do when he's sent off. And from there, we're on the back foot. We're already a goal down. We're now a man down. And I can't imagine that's going to sit well with Antonio Conte. Not at all. If Sessegnon has a bad performance, struggles a little bit, picks up a yellow card, gives away a few fouls, well, there's a way to progress from there. That's about, getting him back into match sharpness, getting him back match fit. It's been almost a year, I think, since he actually played consistently with Hoffenheim. But to just be so stupid like that, to go into that second challenge over the ball, off the ground, completely out of control. He's lucky he didn't make contact there. He makes contact, that's a straight red. But to already be booked and make that challenge is It just sums up Tottenham, to be honest. Martin with the €2 says Conte is at the wheel. Wow, it's probably the best €2 you've spent, Martin. No, I appreciate the super chat, but yeah, look, when a United fan, after what's happened over the last month, is coming in making a joke like that, yeah, no, it's time to be concerned. And look, on the point, United, I think they've made a good appointment, or are about to make a good appointment with Ralph Rangnick. But yeah, look, I mean, the main comments that I'm seeing here and on the watch along, and it's where do we go from here? And the difference between now and when we lost to Vitesse or when we scraped that win against Mura is we have what seems to be a plan. It seems to be some sort of trajectory, medium to long term, that the club want to go on. It's not set in stone that Conte will stick it out. And I'm going to say that right now. And I don't think he's going to walk tonight. I don't think he's going to walk before January, even before next summer. But if Conte isn't getting what he wants in terms of financial investment from the club, in terms of effort from the players, the coaching staff and all that, he's going to walk. He just won the Serie A with Inter Milan, and he left because he couldn't get guarantees that certain players would stay or that certain players would be brought in. And that we knew we're getting that with this manager. And I think we do need to be wary of the fact, again, I don't think he's going to walk now, but we do need to be wary of the fact that he can walk at any given moment. Sandrup, I apologise for missing the super chat back there. I do appreciate that. And Kendai as well. Thank you for the super chats. His only positive from that defence was Dyer. He composed the whole team and played out the back and won his duels. Look, Dyer was very good on Sunday against Leeds. He was decent tonight. He looked good coming out from the back as well. He was kind of carrying the ball forward and looking to make that make something happen, looking to start that attack. But the problem with Eric Dyer is we were here 2 years ago, we were here 18 months ago, 12 months ago, 6 months ago with Dyer saying these exact same things. But the problem with him is he'll have 2 or 3 good games and then he'll go back to being Eric Dyer. And I feel like we go through that cycle with so many players, with Dele Alli, with Tanguy Ndombele, with Lo Celso, with Sanchez, with Dyer, where we have a really, really bad spell. Then they have a few good games and we start to get that bit of hope again. We start to get that bit of expectation and we just go back to where we were, back to square one, and they're terrible again. And look, praise them when they perform well, but we need to stop getting carried away by that. Ken Boy with another super chat says, what are the chances we go through to the knockouts? Well, look, the situation is at the moment, Rennes are top of the group with 11 points. We are second with 7, and Vitesse are third with 7. Vitesse playing Mura in the last day of the season, or last game of the group. It's not as much of a formality as we thought it was earlier today that Vitesse will get the 3 points in that. But if they do, we of course have to beat Rennes, and then we have a playoff. So the difference with the Conference League and the other European competition is if we finish second in this group, we go into a playoff with a team that drops out of the Europa League in their third place finishes. We go into a playoff with them before we ever get to the last 16, before we ever get into the knockout stage. That's an extra game that we really, really, really don't need, that we could really do without. And the sad thing about this is if we hadn't conceded that 94th goal, we wouldn't be in that position, because Vitesse came from 2 goals down to draw away to Rennes tonight. And we would have been 3 points behind Rennes. Each just beat them by more than a goal, I think it would have been. Or just beat them. I think we drew away to them. Just beat them and we're through top of the group. And we somehow managed to give that away in the last minute with Mura getting their winner. So the chance we go through to the knockouts, we have to beat Rennes and then a team dropping out of the Europa League. Tonight's performance is anything to go by. I wouldn't be very sure that we're going to get there. And is that the worst thing in the world? It is and it isn't, in that we can see how clearly Conte is taking this competition seriously with that lineup against Vitesse 2-3 weeks ago and that lineup tonight. He clearly wants to win a trophy, even if it is the Conference League. But with those performances, with what is a strong team, I don't think we beat Roma. I don't think we beat Bodo Glimt. And I don't think we beat many of the teams that are dropping out of the Europa League. And then, if we're going into these knockout stages with the expectation that we won't be able to offer the consistency or the quality to get through 3 rounds of 2 legs and then win a final as well, I question what the point is in getting out of the group at all. It's just competitions like this aren't worth it unless you win it. It's the same with the Europa League last year. We had some kind of physically demanding games, some long trips around Europe in order to get to the last 16 when we were eventually embarrassed by Dinamo Zagreb. All of a sudden, the wins that we got aren't worth it because we didn't win the competition. You need to win it for it to be worth it. I'd say the same about the League Cup, about the FA Cup. And I don't think Tottenham are anywhere near a position where they can go on and win that. I'll start to have it into the chat. If you want to put your opinions and your questions in there, please do. We can get a bit more of a conversation going. There's over 200 people watching live right now, so please do hit that like button if you haven't already. Do make sure to hit that subscribe button if you aren't yet subscribed. It's going to have a lot of transfer content coming out over the next maybe end of December, January, as we go into what will hopefully be a very busy transfer window for Spurs. Bobby with a £2 super chat says, best thing to happen to Conte, true depth shown. And again, yeah, we had that point earlier, and it is a good point to bring up again, Bobby. He needs to know just how bad those players are, because he needs to know what players he can trust in a Premier League game. And there's only so much you can learn on the training ground. If we're to look at the selections that we've seen from managers over the last couple of years, I'm sure Dyer trains well. I'm sure Dele Alli trains well. Lucas Moura, Stephen Bergwijn, Ben Davis, if I mentioned him, they all train well. But once they get in the football pitch, they just really aren't able to do it. And it's important that Conte knows which players he can trust in a Premier League game. And I'm not going to say there are any positives to take from tonight, but moving forward, that's a bit of something that Antonio Conte could learn from this game. Paul O'Driscoll with €2. Another Arsenal fan. Thank you for the super chat. Says another Harry Kane stat pad. That's a dub, in my opinion. Look, on Harry Kane, thank you for bringing this up, Paul. The only reason Harry Kane is in this squad is because at any moment he can put the ball in the back of the net like that. If we're talking level of performance, consistency, quality shown in games this season, effort, desire, determination, passion, leading from the front as vice captain, any of that, Harry Kane does not even get on this bench from what we've seen from this season. He does not get anywhere near the squad. Dane Scarlett will be starting up top. The only reason he's there, well, two reasons. One, he's Harry Kane. And the other reason is that at any moment he can pick up that ball and he can lift it over the keeper, or he can pick it up 30 yards out and he can find the top corner. There's nothing else keeping him in this team. There really isn't. And look, if Antonio Conte has to use him as an example and drop him for the game on Sunday, I'm all for that. I'm all for that. We will miss him. We can miss him when he's not there. But something needs to be done. First of all, to let Kane know that he's not invincible. And second of all, to let the other players know that Conte isn't afraid to make those big decisions. If Kane is dropped for that game on Sunday, I support that. I'm all for it. It's really shocking what's happened to him. And he's the last player I expected it from. He's the last player I expected to do that. And it's the third time he's surprised us by stabbing us in the back over the last 6 months in terms of publicly looking for that move to City, skipping training, and what's going on now. And I do think it is only going to get worse for Kane from here. We thought Conte coming in would get the best out of him. We haven't seen that yet. We haven't seen that from any of the squad yet. But he's still walking around, hands by his side, no pressing. He can't pass the ball 2 yards. And I can't see that changing anytime soon. Oliver Skipp as well, I thought had a very decent first half tonight, but second half, his passing was sloppy. He was letting the ball run under his foot a few times. His touch was poor. The difference is with Skipp, he flies into challenges and he does run after the ball and actually puts a little bit of something into the game. Tim says, just need to wait until the fourth division of European football, then the trophies will come. Cheers, Tim. But like I said it in the watch along as well, I'd rather 11 Oliver Skipps than 11 Tanguy and Ndombele's, because Ndombele has the quality, but Skipp has he tries, and we spoke about that as well. The fact that we've gone from needing to be at the pinnacle of your athletic ability, your form in football, to get anywhere near this Spurs team 4 or 5 years ago, to right now, if you try, you might get a start. If you run after the ball, yeah, just not sure you can be in that first team. And that's one of the worst things to take from all of this. And if there's any manager out there that could change that, it'll be Antonio Conte, to instill a better mentality into that squad. But he also needs money to invest into it. And Daniel Levy has told us he's ready to invest that money, but we've been here too many times with him before to believe that without actually getting the proof in a January transfer window. And I think if ever there was a time where lack of investment will kill this football club, it is now. To be fair, 1 on XG, 0.3 to 1.1. That doesn't get you points. Adam. I hate Wigan. But you need to put money into the squad, because we went 18 months without investing anything towards the tail end of Pochettino's time. And I will forever say that's the reason Pochettino was sacked. That's the reason it didn't work out for him. And that's where this downward trajectory of Tottenham started. And he's made that mistake in the past. He'll make that mistake again, but it can't be now, because Conte will walk. We will lose Fabio Paratici, and a Paratici recruiting and scouting system feeding an Antonio Conte squad is way, way, way too good an opportunity to not give it 110% in terms of effort and in terms of finances. And I really hope Daniel Levy knows that, but I don't trust that he does, and I don't think I can ever trust that he would. and that's the worrying part here, because we have the foundations and the basis to actually make something of this football club, where we were 5 years ago. That was all thrown away. We can't afford to throw that up again, because David Harris, Irish Hotspur, is making the point earlier, and it was such a good point, that if we don't do it, if we don't put that money in, and if we don't make something of the squad, there's nothing to stop us from becoming a mediocre mid-table team, or a team fighting relegation, because you're looking at the money invested, of course, by the top teams in Man City, United, Chelsea, Liverpool, West Ham, Arsenal, Everton, Villa, Brighton, and then you're looking at the kind of teams lower down. Newcastle, of course, have a lot more money to back them now. Leeds don't invest a lot, but they invest cleverly, and it's not impossible for us to fall away and to be taken over by those teams. Of course, Leicester, I didn't even mention. The very best in the Premier League right now are pulling away more than ever before. The very worst are pulling away at the bottom more than ever before. But everything in between, from 5th down to 17th place, is becoming so congested and becoming so... I suppose congested is the only way to describe it, really, that there's no proof, or there's no trust that Leicester, West Ham, Everton, Villa, Leeds, Brighton, that they won't all pass us out. There really, really isn't. And that's the most worrying part about all this. David as well made the point that we had the chance a couple of years ago when United and Liverpool were kind of in a rebuild, in a kind of period of resetting what they were doing and what they were about. Arsenal as well, that we had the chance. We had passed them out on a kind of short-term basis, but we had the chance to build on what we had and pull further away from them. And it just never happened. And right now, Liverpool, of course, are better than us. Chelsea, City are miles ahead of us. United bringing in Ralph Rangnick. We know the finances and the money being invested isn't going to be a problem there. It's just how they invest that money and the type of player they bring in. Well, look, if there's a couple of directors of football out there that you'd say will do a good job there, Ralph Rangnick is one of them. You know, his scouting from bringing in young players to signing players like Erling Haaland and all that, he knows what he's doing. And I think it's a very shrewd move from United to bring him in on a 6-month interim manager contract and then put him onto, I think it's a consultancy job officially for the next 2 years. Is a really good move from them, and that's them, I wouldn't say back, but back on an upward trajectory and back on something they can build on. And Tottenham need to make sure we're doing that as well, or we'll be left behind. And that's the biggest fear that we have. Adel says summer window was terrible looking back. Gill needs a loan. Paratici needs to be smarter. Look, in hindsight, you could always say that. We had that same problem last summer. I think Galini was always going to be that second choice keeper, and it's hard to judge him too much when the games he is playing in is the ones where every other player is absolutely useless. I saw a few people blaming him for that second goal tonight, but it's deflected over his head, and there's nothing he can do about that. I do think it is hard to judge Galini. Gill, I put in the same bracket, because when he's playing with what was initially the Stephen Bergwines who weren't getting in that first team, Dane Scarlett he was trying to link up with, it's really hard to actually hit your form there. I do think Gill deserves a chance in the first team in the Premier League, but it may be difficult to see that happen. Sarr, of course, we haven't seen yet. I'm trying to think who else he brought. Christian Romero, fantastic signing, our best centre-back by a mile this season. Of course, now he could be out for a couple of months, which is just typical Tottenham luck. And I think Emerson is turning around and showing a little bit of form. And in the last couple of weeks in Nuno, I think Emerson was one of the few players who actually started to look a little bit better, and was showing a bit of form and a bit of improvement. So there may be something there. But yeah, the window, I think we did realise that to some extent at the end when we didn't get a striker, we didn't get a playmaker. I think we realised it kind of had failed to live up to the expectations a little bit, but definitely 50-50 on the players that we did manage to bring in. Kendall says, considering how bad Galini has been, would you take Onana instead and then send Galini back to Atalanta as he's on loan? I actually can't remember the structure of that Galini deal, if it's an option to buy or an obligation to buy. If I remember correctly, it might be something to do with appearances, which may be out of our hands if he is going to be our Europa League keeper. Europa League, I wish he was, or Conference League keeper. Well, there may be the clauses in that contract met already. Onana, he hasn't played for a year. I don't think that's a clever investment just yet. He will be leaving Ajax this January if he's to be believed. But yeah, no, I wouldn't go with that just now. And I think we'd be looking for a replacement for Hugo Lloris in the next, if not 6-18 months. And I think maybe then will be a better time to just hold back and invest in a starting goalkeeper there, rather than trying to get a replacement second choice goalkeeper for Galini at the moment. Sean, good to see you, says, surely this has to be the end of Doherty Spurs' career. Look, I've said this at least 15 times in his time at Tottenham. He is absolutely woeful. And the worst part is he can play for Ireland. He can pocket Ronaldo in a World Cup qualifier. He does have the ability to do that. But at club level, it just doesn't work. And there's so many players like that as well. You've Giovanni Lo Celso, who goes on and is one of the best players that Messi likes to play with at international level. And he comes back and he can't even stay upright when he tries to pass the football. I don't know what it is, but Doherty, he's awful. He really is awful. And as an Irish Tottenham fan, I'd love nothing more than to love him or to think he's a good footballer, but he really, really isn't. Alexander Hilton, good to see you. See if there's any more comments here. Jordan says, sorry to be so negative, but not one of these fringe players should be allowed to step out into the pitch for Spurs again. Dele, Doherty, Sessegnon, agreed. Maybe a bit harsh on Sessegnon, but it was a very naive red card that he picked up tonight. Yeah, so a lot of people saying, if Conte doesn't get the funds, he will be gone, which I fully agree with. John says, Dele needs to get out of our club. Him and Ndombele are an embarrassment, simply no passion. King Hoddle says Kane apart and possibly Skip are the only two players from that starting 11 good enough for the Premier League, and that is a worrying thought. Again, it was one of our strongest lineups tonight, or by the end of it, it was one of our strongest, not 11s because Sessegnon had been sent off, but one of our strongest teams. Bjorn says true, Sanchez is useless. He's terrified every time he's one-on-one terrible players, and I genuinely couldn't believe the inability that Sanchez showed tonight defensively. Again, I understand he's out of position. He's on his weaker side as a right-sided defender playing on the left. I mean, look, it's not impossible to do. Some defenders do it with great success. You look at Ruben Diaz at Manchester City, does it so well. But for Sanchez to be sold in the same way twice, both leading to goals, who within our club decided to pay £42 million for him? And look, that's another fear we have in terms of spending money. And I know the structure of the recruitment is a little bit different now, but if you're looking at the record signings we've made at Tottenham over the last decade, there's Ndombele, Lo Celso, Davinson Sanchez, Roberto Soldado, Musa Sissoko. I think Serge Aurier is up there, 23 million. Stephen Bergwijn would be there as well. But we have invested money in the last decade. It hasn't gone well. Hopefully Paratici will change that around a little bit. Hopefully it will be better as he starts to kind of make his own stamp on the squad and bringing in players that he wants to bring in. If this summer is anything to go by, it's not after the greatest start, but he's into a new league. It's going to take a bit of time for him to get to know the league. And again, it just feels like I'm making excuses. And maybe I am, but you have to have a bit of hope. Look, we're Spurs fans. If we didn't have hope at this point, what on earth would we be doing? Like I said, please do make sure to hit that like button if you haven't already. Over 360 people watching. Let's see how many likes we are on. We're up at 92, so let's go 125. Please do hit that like button and make sure to subscribe as well if you are new. Let's see if we can get to 12k subscribers as quickly as possible. We were so close until I took a break and I lost about 150. So I do need every bit of support. If you are interested, do hit that subscribe button. Yeah, Shauna says can't even blame Gleany for the goals, as Paul says, a worldie and a fluke. Adam says that Ndombele makes Lamela look like a bargain. Look, Lamela is a player that we could have used in this game tonight. This is his bread and butter, but you can't warrant paying what I'm sure was close to 100 grand a week just for him to make a difference once or twice a season in a Conference League game. Sam says, what does this mean for Spurs? I don't think this means too much for Tottenham because we all knew this. We were capable of doing this. We all knew this is something that could have happened. I was on the Fantastic Cheese Room podcast on Monday night, and we were going around giving our score predictions, and I said, I don't see us. I can't confidently say we're going to win this game. Now, I did also say there's no way we lose that game, but it just wasn't impossible that this was going to happen. Victories in these games aren't set in stone for Tottenham, and I genuinely was not confident that we would come out of this game with 3 points tonight. I didn't think it could go as badly as it did, but this just is Spurs now. It was Spurs in the past. We can kind of get out of it for a few years, but it's just who we are again. Like I said, I don't think it means too much because it was going to happen. We always have the ability to do something like this. Just so happened to be against, again, I would say the 341st ranked team in the European coefficient standings, NS Mura, the lowest ranked team in European competition this season, and a team that were founded 9 years ago. That's who have beaten Tottenham tonight. But look, We are going to leave it there. Ranting for half an hour without any sort of structure. It was just me giving out. But look, you seem to have enjoyed that. See how many viewers we had for the entire stream so far, with over 2,200. I really do appreciate the support and people who are tuning in. Samson, does it mean Tottenham are out of the competition? No, so we're not out of the competition yet. We need to better Vitesse's result in the last day of the group there against Mura, we're against Rennes. If we do that, we're into a playoff to then get through to the last 16. So it could mean we're out of the competition, but we do have a few more chances to salvage the situation if getting through is even a positive thing. Look, thank you everyone for your comments. Thank you for the likes. Thank you for subscribing. As always, I do appreciate the support. We will be back in the next couple of days with another stream, maybe one Saturday night. Looking forward to the Burnley game. Let me know in the live chat if that is something you do want. But for now, and as always, thank you for watching.